That's a huge jump because you begin to get more responsibility, and then you have the opportunity to learn and be a little more involved with the staff. Where as a as a manager, you don't necessarily have time to necessarily sit up in the staff meetings or be around and see those type of things. So whenever you get the opportunity to be on a staff full time, whether it's a grad assistant or a video guy, the opportunities to learn are endless, and you really make of it whatever you want. And I always tell GAs this, the GAs who've worked with me, you can learn as much as you want. It's up to you. It really is up to you. And I was always the type of person who would teach you whatever you needed or whatever you were willing to learn. So with the whole UNCW thing and Coach Keats, it was all the God's timing with it, because when I was at Louisville, every single year I had a different staff. And to this point, I'm pretty sure I was in basketball, 12 years. I was on a staff that was different every year. Somebody left, or there was a coaching change every single year I was there. So it just worked out that Coach had got a job that year, Coach Keats to UNCW, and then I was able to go with him. But as a manager, I proved myself in the video room, and I always tell managers this: you have to get in the video room, because there's a million workout guys. There's a million guys who can work guys out and do stuff on the court, but there's not a million guys who know how to run all the video stuff, run the Photoshop, run the Premiere Pro, all the little things that are very needed to run the program. And so I always tell managers, if you are serious, because most likely your first job is going to be a video coordinator or a GA, in which a GA you're going to do video stuff. So you have to learn it from the very beginning and just get as good as you can and sit with the video guy and watch what he's doing. But whenever you get on as a full-time staff member, it's huge, because once you break into college basketball, most of the time, if you're part of a good staff, you're in a good coaching tree family, you'll be okay. You'll be able to ride the wave as long as you can, unless somebody gets fired, and then it's tough. But if you can get that experience, then that's huge getting the next job, because you're going to have maybe a one up on somebody because you've had experience at the Division I level. So that's very big. It's very big in your career to get that first job.
We talk a lot about managers, and it's the side of college basketball that nobody sees. Another thing I kind of look at as a glorified manager is being a DOBO, director of basketball operations, which you've done at a high major university. What are some things about being DOBO, or at least explain to those who don't know what a DOBO does? Because I don't think you see him on the bench and you say, oh, that's just another assistant coach, but really they're kind of working like a manager in a lot of ways. I mean, doing a lot of the dirty work.
Yeah, so the director of basketball operations is kind of, I mean, you're keeping everybody going. So I've done it at the mid-major level and at the high major level at NC State, and it's different. It's different, obviously, because your budget's different, your party size is different. But there used to be trips when we'd get back, and I'd be like, oh my goodness, I just somehow got 50 people to Miami, Florida. I got them to the hotel. I fed everybody. I got them to the game. I got them back. I got them on the plane. And I somehow orchestrated that all. And so in the director of basketball operations role, you're doing everything from tickets to meals to hotels to travel to financial aid to making sure scholarships are good to housing to taking care of the managers to facilities, practice times, shoot around times for the opponents, arenas. I mean, you can't. There's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much you have to do. But without that person in that role, the program can't function. And so the person in that role has to be extremely detail oriented, and they have to always be thinking ahead. And you have to have a good feel on your boss. That's important. You have to have a good feel on your boss to know what he likes, to know how he wants to travel, to know maybe what he wants to eat, what foods he may not like, what hotels he likes to stay at, whether it's maybe Marriott's or Hilton's, what type of buses. So at the end of the day, your rule number one is to keep your boss happy. So you have to do that, but also you're looking out for the players too. So it's a balance, and in the position, you're not going to make everybody happy. That's the hardest thing for people to adjust to is, yeah, you're going to get people who say, I don't want this food, or I don't want to stay here, or this, why are we leaving at this time? But as long as your boss is happy and the players are happy, then you're good. Who cares about what maybe some assistant coaches may say, or, some of the managers might complain, but it's a tough job, but it's a fun job because there's not necessarily the pressure of the coaching aspect on it. So some guys in those roles don't even want to coach basketball, but they want to be around the game, and they may be a more business oriented person. So that's the type of job that you can kind of do. So I was able to get promoted into that position with Coach Keats twice here at UNCW and then at NC State. So um, it was fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of pressure, and things change quick. They change quick, and you have to be able to react. And I always tell people this: the biggest difference between the video job and the director of basketball operations job is you can make a mistake in the video job and kind of cover it up, and nobody necessarily see it because nobody may know what the program you're doing. But if you make a mistake in the Dobo job, every single person is going to know, and everybody is going to know that you made the mistake. You can't cover it up. So you're putting out a lot of fires, and the managers are key to helping a good Dobo. So let me ask you guys, have you had during your time here, you've been doing Dobo stuff, right? So
Definitely.
how has that, do you guys think that you've been prepared to maybe do that in the future? Or if you had the opportunity, could you do it?
Yeah, I'm. I mean, I think I could be able to do it. I just think uh, it will be hard for me because I want everybody happy, and I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
I want to be that. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to want it to be absolutely perfect. But for me, I'm going to always have a backup plan because I know there's always something's going to happen. Nobody's going to have a perfect trip. So I mean, that's just one of the biggest things I've learned in that aspect is always have a backup.
That's good.
Yeah, and after watching, like Hunter do it this year, and being in that office and seeing him make these phone calls and stuff, and I'm getting a phone call right now. How rude is that? Anyway, I don't know if you guys picked up on that or not, but like watching that, and hearing like making those phone calls, because you told us a lot how, the team is traveling to like Miami, you said, and you're gonna have dinner in the hotel at 7:00 when you get there. You've got to make that phone call and really piss some people off over and over because you've got to make sure the job gets done right.
Yeah.
And so like after seeing that, you really realize, and you talk about being prepared, and you could just crush any other job. Like just seeing the detail, like being focused on the details and staying on top of things. Like another thing you told me is like when you get to the hotel, you had all the key cards in order, and you always had coaches on top, correct?
Right.
Just little things like that. Just being I don't know, a top-notch employee, I guess. But yeah, I think I could do it. I'm like Spencer. I would want to please people. I'm a people pleaser, and you've seen me at times. I can get flustered and panic. There will be times where I'm like, yeah, I could fold during that situation. When the food's not right and coach is like, well, what's wrong? What happened? That kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I think that's very important in that job is you can't panic. Like you've got to stay even keel, I think. And
The hardest thing with the job is with a video job, and you guys as managers, you are in control of the job.
mhm.
You control whether the job gets done. Now, as a Dobo, you're depending on other people to get the job done. You're depending on the hotel to make sure the rooms are right. You're depending on a restaurant to make sure the food is done. And that's the most nerve-wracking thing is people aren't necessarily like us. So are they going to get it done? And that's why I would make a lot of people mad because I would call them over and over just to make sure. But Spence, like you're right, you have to have a backup plan because things are going to change.
Right.
And the flight could get delayed. You're going to have a plan with the hotel to push dinner back or to change things around. And so, but you have to depend on people. That's the hardest part is to depend on people, because sometimes they'll drop the ball, but like Kagan, you can't panic. You have to just, because as soon as you panic, then your thoughts are going all over the place. But if you can stay calm, cool, and collected, then you can come up with another plan and try to figure it out and try to squash it before anybody finds out. But that's the hardest part. I always tell people that is you have to be dependent on other people to get it done. And so that's hard.
All right,
So
I'm gonna interrupt real quick. I thought of a story. It came out of my head. This is it sounds fake, but so my first when I was at Campbell, first month as a manager, it's Friday night. I'm actually just got through rebounding for a player, and these three players lived in an apartment on a third story. So they're all cooking out. Girlfriends are over. All of a sudden, we leave the gym and there's some ambulance, fire trucks, and all out where the team stays at. So I'm just thinking, man, I hope that's not them, but we'll ride by and see. I'm taking this guy home. One of the players, I won't name any names. I doubt they're watching or listening, but whatever. Uh, Jumped out of the third story, broke his leg because his girlfriend jokingly came around and said that there was a fire from the kitchen.
Oh boy.
So, I'm just started to be a manager, like not even a full month in. And I have to make this call to our head manager saying, hey, so and so just jumped out of the third window of their apartment, broke their leg, and we have practice in the morning at 9 a.m. So our Dobo was at a Thomas Rhett concert. I had to call him. He was actually an assistant at VMI this year. Call him. He leaves the concert with his wife, and I'm just like, what? Like, we all get to practice the next morning. They call us in, and because I'm the only one that's seen it, or I didn't see it happen, but what I've heard, and I was just like, I have no clue how it happened, but this is how. But that was like the most, like, I was so flustered then because I didn't know what to tell the truth or not, like lie for the player. But also, if you're that dumb to jump out of a third story window, you deserve any punishment. So, moral of the story is broke his leg, didn't play that year, and I don't think he's played basketball since then. He's a coach now. So, yeah.
Can't get flustered.
No, but go back to we'll get back on topic now.
yes, please. So you finally, your Dobo, you finally get a position as an assistant. To me, that's pretty big for a former manager. What's the feeling when you find out you're going to be an assistant, and you're actually going to be involved with the strategy and whatnot, you're going to start making a little bit of money, that kind of thing. What's the feeling, when you've crawled from the very bottom?
I would say it's a euphoric feeling. It's a feeling of accomplishment. I always wanted to get to this point, and that was always my goal. Was I want to become a Division I assistant coach, and so when Coach Siddle, blessed me with the opportunity, I was ecstatic because I grinded to get to the point where I was, and obviously was blessed with great opportunities and was a part of great teams that helped me get to where I was at. But I put in a lot of work to get to the point where he trusted me to bring me as an assistant. And I had no experience as an assistant coach, but somebody's got to give you an opportunity at some point. And so for him to do that, I was so thankful. And, I never, ever took it for granted, ever. And every day I got to do it, I was blessed and thankful because I know how many people would love to be in my shoes to do it. So, but one thing that helped me get to that point was just being able to observe. And a lot of those years when I was not an assistant coach, I was able to pay attention to what the other guys were doing and learn from that way. And so that prepared me to be ready for it, and where coach still felt I was ready to become one. So it was an amazing feeling. I mean, it really was. I'll never forget the day that I got the call that I got the job.